Well, I teach at the Peter F. Drucker School of Management in Claremont, California. I teach in the Executive Management program and the MBA program, and I developed about a decade ago a series of classes oriented around helping managers to manage themselves. Right? But what it really, I think, is a methodology for how to make sense of and transform your life. What we've traditionally called education in the modern period, which is from, say, like the 17th century onward, has been oriented around training people to think. And we're very good at that, right? How to analyze, how to be rational, how to strategize, how to think about issues that in a very clear and orderly way. It's the basis for all of our scientific and technological progress. Where we have missed, I think, the boat entirely is the training of attention. What I mean by that is our ability to control our attention, to develop our attention so that we're more present, or that we're more centered, that we're aware of what's going on around us, what's going on inside us. The way the human brain works is that we're primarily on autopilot most of the time. Fundamentally, it's not a bad thing, because by being on autopilot, it means that my attention is freed up to do other things. But sometimes we can wire in habits or ways of being that aren't so effective, that bring about a result we don't want. And so, given that, what I do is to help raise people's level of attention so that they can see themselves more clearly and understand what is it they're doing, why is it they're doing that, and is this what I really want to be doing? And help them, and if it's not, how do you shift into doing what you really want to be doing? It seems to me that we are a culture in transition, and I think that that transition is happening planet-wide. There are a lot of things that are changing, and we don't really have the tools to understand how to deal with change effectively. So there's a fantastic book by William Bridges called Transitions. That's a kind of classic work, and Bridges talks about every transition begins with an ending. So something outside, in our outside world, changes, right? I might lose my job, or might get married, or something like that. I have an illness. Something ends. An old world comes to an end. And yet the new world hasn't formed yet. And so we're going to find ourselves in this no man's land, like wandering like zombies and trying to find the new world. And helping people navigate this oftentimes disorienting place of not knowing who they are and where they are, what they're capable of, in order to find their new world, is something I've gotten very interested in recently. And learning how to, when we're talking about learning how to navigate transition, oftentimes what we're really dealing with is the internal churn of anxiety and depression and disorientation that comes up in the process of exploring. And that there's a part of you, I think in most of us, that wants to go back to the old world, right? But that's not possible anymore because that old world's gone. And yet I hunger for my old role, my old world, the familiar things I know. And so learning how to let go of what's not working anymore is very much an internal process, because there's a lot of fear about not having the certainty of the old world. And how do you generate the energy to keep going forward, to find something new? Now the prize you get at the end of it is that you're now capable of doing something you weren't before. I think one of our big faults is that management education is oriented primarily around the external, right? We train people to deal with external things. Money, organizational structures, other people, but rarely do we get a systematic training to deal with ourselves in a way that's not therapy, it's not a religious cult, it's not weird, nothing weird, but just simply understanding how do human beings work, how do we function, and having a very clear set of frameworks and methods for understanding that and learning how to transform that. In a changing world, we need to be able to step out of our own map of reality to be able to see it clearly so we can respond to what's actually happening, not what we think is happening or what we want to be happening, but to what are the actual circumstances that are there, and so that we can adapt to that changing reality. So in my work, what I try to do is train people's attention so that they can see themselves in relationship to their world more clearly so that they can adapt to that world. Or how else are we going to survive?